Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rukokwadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders, the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about World War III and its incoming. This is Revelations 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And John the Revelator, when he was given this vision on the island of Patmos, he had been given the images of what we are currently living through now, where we're seeing all of the presidents' actions around the world. We're seeing all the politicians, all the armies basically ramping up in a warlike stance, so that way they can get ready to go to war. Right? Just the other day, you had the United States politicians greet this war criminal Zelensky into the house of the people, right? And they gave him a standing ovation, right? Basically everything this little devil, this Amalekite here, because again, you got to understand, this guy Zelensky, he's not even Ukrainian, right? He is what you would refer to as an Amalekite, which is the top tribe of Edom, right? So he's basically an Edomite of the tribe of Amalek. Okay, he is a so-called Jew, I guess you'd call him, right? Well, these people here all know that this is a play. They all understand that this is what the powers that be want, and this is why they're basically feigning over this devil giving his speech. Let's go and watch this now.
Speaker, the President of Ukraine.
That's a man there, by the way, okay? And by the way, that little logo, the Ukrainian logo, when you go back to its symbol, it goes back to the symbol of Molech.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So there you go. America is going to war. You see, this devil here, he don't believe that this guy here has done this all on himself, right? He's been put into power. This guy here is simply an actor. Just like Trump was an actor, this guy literally is also an actor, right? He was on a show called the People's President, I believe, right, in Ukraine for 3 years prior to running for the Ukrainian presidency and then taking over. And then once he took over, he basically banned and declared martial law and got rid of opposing parties. And though they try to say, oh, these opposing parties had ties to Russia, this and that, you gotta understand that there's a lot of people within Ukraine that consider themselves Russian. Okay, but the problem is that, think of it like this: Ukraine is Russia's Mexico. Okay, now us here in California, Arizona, Texas, we understand what this means. Okay, now America was basically, for the most part, putting its stance, its hold, political and also military hold on Ukraine. Okay, one of the factors that Russia had with Ukraine, that it would leave it alone, is that it would that Ukraine would not seek to join NATO, right, or to have American influence inside of its country, right? It would be just as if America was to allow Russia, or I'm sorry, if Mexico was to allow Russia to set up shop in Mexico, right, bring its missiles, its tanks, its armies up to the Mexican border, right? The U.S. wouldn't stand for it. The U.S. would be doing the exact same thing that the Russians are doing, right? But you see, this is all calculated risk, right? The elites of the world, what they're doing is they're pushing forward this World War III agenda. Again, remember, World War III is orchestrated just like World War I and World War II was. Okay, this is all that these people here, these Amalekites, right, from him and George Soros, are doing to basically bring forward the 3 world wars, which will basically give them control of the world. Okay, so though they pretend to be enemies with themselves, they're all in on it. Now there is some turbulence going on where you got China and Russia actually trying to take over the race now that they're almost at the finish line. But the thing is that's going to ultimately come back and bite Edom, right? This is what the scripture, when it says, thy adversaries who have brought you up even to the border have deceived thee, right? They that have eaten thy bread have deceived thee, right? Not, paraphrasing, but see, that's what's happening, right? All the other nations of the world who are with America to help America, bring forward this new world order. Now, some of those nations, namely the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, China, Iran, India, and I think even Saudi Arabia has an oil contract with BRICS nations, but they're going to eventually seek to join it. And I think Egypt just finished joining it. They are going to all of a sudden now take over and stuff and try to be the heads instead of allowing Esau to be the heads of the world and stuff, right? This is why now the war is really breaking out, and hence this is why now you're having what you would refer to as real war starting to unleash itself, right? But again, this is all a part of the Lord's plan, right? To basically deceive the nation of Edom being the Caucasian race that rules the world currently, right? And to bring them down and bring their empire down, which will ultimately lead to their captivity and eventual extinction. This is Jeremiah 15:45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh Bashem Ashai, that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes, and that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Chaldeans representing the witches, right? Meaning that, because again, the Lord is referring to the politicians and the leaders of this country as witches, right? Because again, when you get into their backgrounds, they're all performing satanic rituals because they honestly do worship Satan, right? For the spiritual power that Satan provides these Edomites. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, right? And when it says here, least of the flock, this is talking about the Amalekites, right? The small nation. There's only about 15 million, so-called Jews around the world, right? Or at least Orthodox Jews, that is. But the point being is that the Amalekites of the nation of Edom are considered the least of the flock. And what did I tell you this man was? Right? This man is an Amalekite. And what is he causing? Let's see this. And what is he doing? Well, take a look at it. Because of his actions, right? His planned actions, right, through his bosses, is causing the world armies to bring all their military force into the region of Europe, right? And what's that gonna cause? That's gonna eventually lead to all these armies being drawn down and taken down into the Middle East, because that's where it's gonna go to. We're gonna see that somehow Israel, the land of Israel, the Israelis are going to basically go forward, and they're going to basically, start to do something, and it's going to cause all the armies of the world to basically move away from Ukraine and go down into the Middle East. And that right there is where the Valley of Jehoshaphat is, and the prophecies of the Bible says this is where the Lord will gather all the world's armies to ultimately destroy them, right? And what you're seeing here in the gathering of all these nations is basically that, right? Right here, Newsweek says that Zelensky made a fatal mistake by visiting U.S. Russia warns, right? You see, so Russia's already pissed off. Russia's mad that they understand what's going on. Right? And again, this is all a planned escalation, right? And what we're currently seeing is that now Russia is starting to raise up their threat levels, right? Because of what Zelensky is doing, what the NATO countries are doing, right? It says, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, the Amalekite Edomite, made a fatal mistake in visiting the United States this week, Russia warned on Thursday. Dmitry Belek, a member of the Russian State Duma International Affairs Committee, made the remark in response to the Ukrainian president's stop in Washington on Wednesday. Zelensky's first known trip outside of his country since Russia launched a full-scale invasion on February 24th. Zelensky gave a historic address to the U.S. lawmakers at the U.S. Capitol and met President Joe Biden, the Edomite, at the White House for the bilateral meeting. Earlier, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken unveiled a $1.8 billion military package for Kiev that included a Patriot missile system. This is Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of Yahweh Bashim Yashai came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets. Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togarmah, and the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So right here, the Lord has prophesied that he's going to basically cause events to happen to where he's going to draw Russia into a war. He's going to put hooks into their mouth and draw them forth to the fight, right? They don't want to fight, but for the most part, because again, every time you hear the Russians, Putin's and the Russians speak on the news, they're always asking for peace. Just recently, Putin had asked for that they're ready for peace talks, right? But what you're going to see is the Lord's going to escalate events, and they're simply just going to keep causing all these issues to where they're giving Ukraine more money, they're building up armies, right? To the point where right here on the 21st, Putin said this. Putin finally announces Russia is fighting NATO, and we understand that NATO is the beast described in the book of Revelations.
Dear board members, it is well known that now against Russia has actively used the military potential and capabilities of practically all the main countries of NATO. Nevertheless, Our soldiers, sergeants, officers are fighting for Russia bravely, and they fulfill the tasks that are given to them, and these objectives will be accomplished in all the territories of the Russian Federation, including the new territories. We are going to ensure security and safety of all our citizens.
You see that? So let me finish it off with this. This is Matthew 16:3. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? You see, the Messiah here was talking about how everybody was able to, tell what the weather was going to be like, but they were unable to understand what was going on in the spiritual sense, right? They couldn't understand that when prophecies were breaking out, they couldn't put two and two together. They didn't realize that the things that they were seeing were prophecies being fulfilled, right? Just like nowadays, when you have prophecies playing out, you have some people who are awoke, understanding that a lot of these are biblical prophecies being fulfilled, right? But there's a lot more people who don't even understand, don't even consider what is happening, right? So I just wanted to report on this, Akim. Wanted to, show you, Akim, what's going on. So that way to show you that we're getting closer and closer to that great and horrible day. So hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Till next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Ukapadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.